A young slave boy stood one day before the greatest ruler of his day. And God said to Moses, "What's in your hand?" And Moses said, "Lord, only I've got a stick, that's all." He said, "Well, let me use what's in your hand." And God used that slave boy with a stick in his hand to divide the Red Seas, march through a wilderness, bring water out of rocks, manna from heaven, and bring his people to freedom land. What's in your hand?
Imagine a preacher from Harlem who could shut down businesses with boycotts, mobilize thousands in the streets, and then walk into the halls of Congress to rewrite national policy. That man was Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. Before the modern civil rights movement reached Washington, Powell was already fighting racism, poverty, and inequality. Powell believed something radical for his time. Racism could not be defeated by Black Americans alone. It required alliances across races, classes, and communities. This was a form of politics we might call today polycultural democracy.
Hi, you're in class with Dr. T.
Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. was born November 29, 1908 in New Haven, Connecticut. His parents were Mattie Powell and the influential Baptist minister Adam Clayton Powell Sr., his namesake, Adam Clayton Powell Sr. Shortly after Powell's birth, his father became pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York City. The church would become one of the most powerful institutions in America. During the 1920s, the church relocated to Harlem. Powell grew up in the center of Black political, religious, and cultural life during the Harlem Renaissance. Powell attended New York City public schools. He earned a bachelor's degree from Colgate University in 1930. He later received a master's degree in religious education from Columbia University in 1932. Powell believed religion should confront injustice. He argued that racism and economic inequality were deeply connected problems. During the Great Depression, Powell became a fearless Harlem activist. He organized boycotts against white-owned businesses that refused to hire Black workers. These protests forced businesses to hire Black workers in management and professional positions. Powell also fought for fair housing and better economic opportunities. In 1937, Powell succeeded his father as pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church. His powerful preaching and activism dramatically increased the congregation. Powell organized protests demanding more Black workers at the 1939 New York World's Fair. He also led a boycott against discrimination in the New York City transportation system. In 1941, Powell became New York's first Black city council member. He demonstrated that grassroots activism could translate into electoral power. In 1944, Powell was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. He represented Harlem. When he took office in 1945, he became the first Black congressman from New York State. Harlem was diverse. It was a community that included African Americans, Puerto Ricans, Caribbean immigrants from all over, Jewish labor activists, and working class whites. Powell built political alliances across these communities. In 1961, Powell became the chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee. This made him one of the most powerful legislators in all of Congress. He would pass numerous legislation into law. Through his powerful role as a chairman of the U.S. House Committee on Education and Labor, He helped shape national policy that affected millions of Americans of all races, Black, white, Latino, and immigrants, demonstrating his belief that civil rights should be tied to economic opportunity and social welfare. Powell supported legislation that expanded and strengthened the federal minimum wage. The 1961 amendment to the Fair Labor Standards Act raised the minimum wage and extended wage protection to millions of workers who had previously been excluded, including many service and retail workers. These changes disproportionately benefited African Americans and other marginalized workers who were often concentrated in low-wage sectors. Powell was instrumental in advancing the Higher Education Act of 1965, a cornerstone of Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society program. The law created federal student loan programs and grants that made college accessible for the first time millions of working class students of all races. This legislation dramatically expanded higher education in the United States and opened opportunities for Black students who had been historically excluded from many universities. Powell helped strengthen federal funding for school nutrition programs, expanding the National School Lunch Program, ensured that lower-income children received meals at school. Powell believed that hunger and poverty were barriers to education, and that government had a responsibility to address these basic needs if children were to succeed academically. Through his committee leadership, Powell also passed legislation supporting vocational training, adult education, and workforce development. These programs were designed to help workers gain skills needed in an evolving industrial economy. They were particularly important for urban communities experiencing unemployment and for young people entering the labor market during the 1960s. Powell's legislative work reflected a broader philosophy. Civil rights required economic rights. He believed that fighting racial discrimination had to be paired with expanding access to education, jobs, and economic security. His policies, therefore, benefited not only Black Americans, but also millions of poor and working class Americans across racial lines. In conclusion, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. proved that political power could be used to fight racism and economic injustice. He brought the struggles of Harlem into the heart of all America. He believed in American democracy, not just for a small elite, but for all Americans, the working class, the poor, the upper middle class, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share it with others, and smash that bell. Don't miss future stories about history, polycultural history. Thank you.